I'm standing here with great joy because one of the things that people try to kill in genocide is joy, and I believe that there's a possibility, a human possibility, of love and joy that we have to hold on to as the most revolutionary form of resistance. That people should make war. That people should make war does not mean that we become about war. I'd like to read a poem by my dear friend Yusuf M. Kazmir, to whom my reading is dedicated. And this shows a perversion of the human touch, what Sophie Seta very beautifully lectured on at the Haptic. It shows a perversion of human touch, but I would like you to hear in that perversion the potential for a redeeming touch, that we will change the quality of touch again to tenderness. Fingerprinting by Yusuf M. Kazmir. She did to me what a friend would normally do for a friend or a lover for another lover. She held my hand very tightly. When I looked at her, my fingers were above the scanner. My flesh was scanned, and so was the air around us. I thought of looking her in the eye again, pretending that we were in love, and in that room where asylum seekers and suspects gather, it was our opportunity to embrace one another while the machine was doing its job. I gave my fingerprints and left. Every time I think of that moment, I feel the need to go back to that terminal and ask her what it meant to touch a stranger. Now, as some of you may know, this is the season that, for Roman Catholics such as myself, is considered Advent, or time of waiting. And I wrote a poem for Yusuf, whose name, of course, also is Joseph, because in the second biblical Joseph people talk about, had a visitation in a dream from an angel who told him to flee, to get up at once and flee with his wife and child, because the children were going to be killed throughout the land. And what is very interesting is normally when angels appear to people, the angels have a really bad time of it, because people basically go, no, I can't cope! And Joseph is very unusual in that he gets up and does exactly what is needed. And I think this possibly is related to the precision of his art as a carpenter. So this is really a poem for Yusuf. The flight into Egypt. He sharper than the cutting edge, he angles, handles, makes tables four square, the most table-ish tables. No one else dare work so plainly. Tables to hide beneath when roofs fall in. Tables to seat dogs at. Tables to... He is not about breaks. The grain seems pleased in place, glistens from its listening square, chiseled as if by a sigh. Morning star and evening, slow, comfortable. So when seamed with sleep, his eyelids illuminated from outside as if in a house on fire, he listened plainly, once received the burning word exile. He chose without hesitation, loving as if there were a choice, acted on it with foursquare certainty, in truth in blood-red haste. He rose and woke his love. They went away. St Cuthbert Mayne. He was hanged, drawn, and quartered in Launceston for his faith, and his skull was paraded around until a few years ago, not to mock him, but to honour him. I wish people would remember this kind of thing happens in Britain. Where stone runs like honey, because the sea is a type of desert, spine of self-stripping thorns, now being ruined. Warming to you, I let in the light. You rose stem, long ago, newly, dead and risen. Treasure what you say, because nobody's real face exists yet. Polkadot wounds, where stone runs like honey. You may notice that a lot of these poems are in dialogue. I say a lot, I've read too. But the next one is for Caroline Bergvall, and I'd like to cite the Guyanese revolutionary poet Martin Carter, 1927 to 97, who said that all are involved, we're involved. And Caroline Bergvall ran a collaborative event called Night in the Refuge during the pandemic online. And this is my response to it. Weather systems. Where is the wind in the time before dawn, gathering fast on a straight course to storm? Where is the wind in the reddening day, colder than mountains that would break its way? Where is the wind when the morning bell rings, stilling the satellite's eye with its rings? Where is the wind in the white mask of noon, hiding a power it shadows forth soon? Where is the wind when the children leave school, gathering force on a swift course to rule? Where is the wind when the helpless one prays, filling with dust that Sahara winds raise? How does this wind cope with desert wind's burden? Badly, and suddenly slower, uncertain. What shall we do now we're saved from the storm? Breathe dust-reddened air and wake before dawn. Anocht at night, tonight it knocks on the roofy note, knocks, gallops last night, anoche. Would it last, or cave in the roof? Would it last? Night knocking and galloping, knocks perpetually drumming on. Where may they find you, Caroline? Danger to life is forecast. My friend gone out, singing back to the wind. Your words a stand of cherry trees. My spring cued by technicians. It is my turn to go, your singing bird. You were the director, lighthouse, now breaking on other waves. The beams you send out strive towards what strand? We were alive before the plague, alive in one place, many alive in one piece. We were alive, Caroline, who has been France, Norway, memory, dreams of a non-lethal crowd, baptized and crowned in bright and lisping ha. Let them give you the microphone, the big screen, Caroline. Show us night by erasures, dawn again. The sun is a girl in the north, and a man in high boots in the east, and a vicious blonde in the between-lands. The king's perfume is roses to the west, and amber to the east, and further west the kings are whale shit or raw. The bridegroom wears pink in my land, and drinks apricot brandy in another land, and often arrives on a white horse. I know the girl who makes the man stoop to drink milk she pours into mud, and how she feels great. I know the man who confused a girl with a pearl, purity with an irritable secretion, the moon that fails with a quarry, a witch, peace lacking in justice. I know the wolf who is monogamous, and I who am ivory and microplastics in the making, and numerous hesitancies that flee and swagger in the surface of a river picked up by the tail. When day breaks, it will not be mended with gold. It will be infinitely more precious and perhaps survivable. The next poem is an incredibly depressing poem about fish. So, I think I've got four minutes left, according to the timing, which is probably slightly more than you can stand. So I'm going to read the poem that was commissioned for the evening, usually run by Inua Alams. Shout out to Inua. And I'd like to invoke the word whataboutery. Whataboutery has, I think, two faces. One is a distraction technique we all know from the fascistic playbook, where whenever you try to say anything, as Toni Morrison warned us, you'd be distracted by having to prove something and something else again, do not engage. And the second form of whataboutery is silencing, because it suggests we should focus only on one thing, preferably the documentation of our own degradation. And I insist on whataboutery. The whataboutery is just like fireflies, or like when you're in prayer or imaginative contemplation, place after place, thing after thing, love after love lights up in your mind. So this is a poem that was written for the Windrush, but I also want to write it and read it, and I was writing it and reading it for everyone who is in this graveyard of resurrections, this graveyard of ancestors, which is both earth and water. Turn and live. The sacrifice got up off the altar. Become an archaeologist of your lungs. Windrush is the name of a ship, not of a generation. Windrush is the name of a ship, not of any situation. Windrush is the witchcraft name of a ship waterlining us into uncharted, obligatory, and perpetual migration. The sacrifice got up off the altar. Become an archaeologist of your lungs. The naming of ships is a terrible thing, that terrible mother tell me. I came in a ship called Threat Vector. I came in a ship called Dust to Dust. Who came in a ship called Willing Ambassador? Who came in a ship called Evidence of Funds? Did I dance with you on the blue carpet? Was your ship called the Providence, the Invitation? Was your ship called Guerrilla Diplomacy? Go back where you came from, citizens, says terrible motherland. Whether that means overseas or going back under the sea. Citizens, life forms, listen to the lady. She is a consultant anonymizer, a high mobility native of a fortress trolley. We are phantasmagorically, primarily and politically lightless and all-bearing creatures, put down, not undrowned, gone beyond drowned. The sacrifice got up off the altar. Become an archaeologist of your lungs. A woman is sweeping the sea. In the father's words, in Kamau's words, a woman is sweeping the sea. They still say in English, a ship is a she. Who says so? The ship is a thing of itness, witness, and creator, fury of a wake, raking over of witness. The island scholar is sweeping the carpet in her London digs, sweeping the sea grey, the pea super carpet, in no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, London's aspirational digs. That carpet had etiquette. It demanded her to accept it in its misty itness as grey like ethical practice, dove or pigeon grey. Could the island scholar trust loose-talking fibre after she studied the French liberator Charles de Gaulle, who dismissed our archipelago as specks of dust? She sweeps and a pattern emerges, stabilizing as many colors, stabilizing as a miracle, a many-colored pattern wanting to dance beside her feet, after she was forced to breathe in dust, settling and unsettling the miracle of many colors. The sacrifice got up off the altar. Become an archaeologist of your lungs. One love.